Hi everyone, Christos here, Better at BI, and today I want to demonstrate how someone like you, the consumer, can get two wildly different data sets, put them together into one, and start creating some basic reporting. So imagine, here's the scenario. I have a big chunk of data, 2018 Cincinnati Health Department data. Over here, I have another chunk of data, 2018 fire and EMS run data. Let's say I want to see if there's any correlation between health department violations and fire and EMS runs. Well, they're not really related except the fact that they're in the same year and in the same city. So how do we get that together? You could ask your BI folks how to do this, but they're probably busy. They're really busy doing a bunch of other stuff. I want to show you in this video how you can use a free tool, Power BI Pro. You can download this tool on your desktop and you can grab this data and do some awesome work with it and start building your data so that you can make your decisions when you need to make them. So again, it's just Power BI. This is just a kind of a conceptual video. You can do this with Tableau or Click or any number of other visualization tools. I use Power BI because it's free. And it's an incredibly powerful tool. So again, how to use Power BI to get two completely different data sets, get them together, and make some basic reports out of them so that you can get to where you need to be. So if you like what I'm doing here, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love, if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to see them below. All right, thanks for coming along. Hey gang, Christos here, Better at BI, and today I want to talk about how you as a consumer can help yourself. We're going to talk a little bit about self-service reporting, but specifically how someone can use a tool like Power BI Desktop to get data from different sources and merge them together so that you, the consumer, can get what you need. Again, if you recall the 5 data rights that I've spoken about in other videos, using the right tool to get the right data to the right people at the right time so they can make the right decision. I'm going to show you how you can accomplish those things on your own. So you're looking at my screen. I've already kind of got things started for you so I can speed up the process. I'm going to do one thing real quick. I want to hit Get Data, and I want to go to this text.csv. If you recall from another video, you have all these different choices, okay? You can connect to a SQL Server or an Excel workbook or, gosh, you know, something really cool. If you have a web data set, like CDC has a couple of these things and some other folks as well, you can connect directly to that. But let's go ahead and select text.csv or text/CSV right now. So I'm going to bring in this neighborhood list. And I'm going to show you in a second. You see I've got a bunch of CSV files here: date list, fire calls, HDV, neighborhood, and PDI. Real quick, basically what we're looking at is I've generated some extracts. You as a consumer can ask your BI folks to do the same thing. Tell them you need an extract of whatever you need, okay? You don't need a formatted thing, just an extract of this data. So I'm going to do a transform data here because you'll see, as you can see, my columns don't match up. So I'll hit transform data. And that's going to bring up my transform screen or my edit screen. If you recall, I think I've said this in another video, Power BI, I feel like Power BI was built by data people who needed to present their data to somebody. And that's why you've got a lot more power here than you do in a tool like Tableau. Conversely, Tableau, I feel like, was built by analysts who needed to connect the data. So that's kind of why, you know, there's some differences there. I'm going to select use first row as header, and that's going to make that switch. I'm going to do close and apply. So these are the steps that you're going to go through for all of your data. Now, while that's kind of running, I'm going to click on this new field called data model. So again, let's reset the scenario. You're a consumer. You need to be able to do some reporting against multiple data sets. I am now bringing into this data set, I'm bringing in fire calls, which are all the fire and EMS calls. In this case, the fire and EMS calls for 2018 for the city of Cincinnati. And over here, I've got, excuse me, I'm just dragging this over for a second. Over here, I've got the health data, health department violations, 2018, city of Cincinnati again. So I'm going to, now in the middle here, I've got something called date list. This is really just it's a table with one column, dates. That's it. Dates, all the dates, January 1 all the way through December 31 of 2018. And I have these joined to the create date incident on this side, even though the thing looks weird, right? I'll double click on that for you, so you can see it. I have it joined to create date incident, so I have a date to date, okay? And I have the same thing over on this other side, date to date, okay? Now I'm going to join this, automatically joined it to the community council neighborhood over here. I'm going to force this to join over here as well. And there it is. It didn't click the first time. Okay. Quick recap. Two tables. I've got two tables. I've got fire, right? All the fire and EMS calls. There it is. It did a thing. Fire and EMS calls on one side. Health department violations on the other side. Completely different sets of data. The only similarities are it's since City of Cincinnati, it's 2018, right? The data that's in there, in particular the dates and the community council neighborhoods, they are, while they may be the same in concept, they're unrelated to one another. These two tables, neighborhood list and date list, are what matches, it's what joins the table. I'm using these. You could use patient. You could use customer. You could use manufacturing line. You can use anything you want or whatever you need here. So now let's go ahead and go up to this, let's start building a table here. So I already started messing around here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit plus down here at the bottom. And I'm going to drag in two slicers. So first slicer, I'm going to click here. And it's going to give me a box. I'm going to select date list, okay? Now, here's a little catch. Whenever you're using these category fields like I have, you really should use those for your slicers. So don't use the date that's in fire calls. Use the date from your bridge table, okay? So that recognized it as a date. Power BI recognizes this as a date. And so now I've got this little slicer. Awesome. Let's do this one more time. But this time, let's bring in a slicer I'm going to go to the bottom of the screen. Hold on for a second. And I'm going to bring in neighborhood. So now you've seen in a couple of seconds, I've quickly created, I'm going to move this for aesthetic reasons. Oh, gosh darn it. There it is. I've quickly created actually, you know what? I'll do this. I've quickly created two filters, right? So now you can say, awesome sauce, great, Christos. Now what? Well, how do you now bring in this data so you can compare it? So let's build a table. I'm going to select this table button right here, and it's going to drop in a table. You see that? I'm going to make it large so we can kind of get a better idea of what we're looking at. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to bring in community neighborhood council. All right, drag that in again. So I'm dragging it in from my category table, right, or my bridge table. So there they are. Now watch, if I click on Avondale here, only Avondale is going to show up on this other side. Boom, pretty awesome sauce, right? So now we want to compare data. So the quickest and easiest way to compare data is to create some sort of bar chart. So here's let's do the clustered bar chart. Let's give that a shot. All right. So now we're going to bring in, we already have the neighborhood in there under the access, right? So what values do we want? Well, the first thing, how about we'll bring in the violation keys and we'll do a count of violation keys. There you go. So if I click on California, if you're not familiar with the Cincinnati area, there is a neighborhood called California out here. There it is right there. Now, so that's, and I want to show the labels. Bear with me for just 1 second. Oops, I got to click on this field. Data labels on. So again, whatever tool you use, this is all going to be a little different. So I'm kind of showing you Power BI, but I'm also demonstrating some of the concepts here. Let's also bring in the fire calls. So I'm going to expand fire calls, and I'm going to say the event number is the unique identifier. So I'm going to click and drag event number into the values. So now I'm doing a count. So now you can see I'm now looking at for California for 2018, the amount, the 31, they have 31 violations for 2018, and they have 165 fire and EMS runs for 2018. How about we go to some place, let's go downtown. Everyone loves downtown. So downtown, look at that, the numbers jump. There are 3.7 thousand violations in the year, and there's twice as many EMS runs, give or take twice as many. We can also do, so let me duplicate this for just a second. I'm going to right click, I'm going to duplicate this. So that's a great way to give you a bar chart so you can quickly, I'm going to hit this little clear all selections. So now you're going to see every neighborhood and every bit of data. These are big numbers, right? So how about we make this a little smaller? We'll just look for January and February in the first couple of days of March. So there you go. So downtown had 1,100 violations in January, February, and 965 calls, if you will, in fire calls, right? And you can kind of see Westwood apparently was huge. There was a huge spike in Westwood, right? So let's turn this into a table. So by clicking on that, I'm going to select this little table button over here, or table visualization. And now I'm just going to take that data that I just put together. Boom. Now here it is. I've got it kind of together in a table format, and I'm filtering it by community council neighborhood and by date. That's simple. We could add fields. We could do some interesting stuff here if we wanted to. But again, the purpose here was to, and you can add more tables. You could, like, this is just fire and HDV. You could add, if I wanted to, I'm going to go back here for just a second. I could add by going to get data. I've got a massive police data initiative file. So this police data initiative file, again, City of Cincinnati, it's 95. It's a pretty big file, 95 megabyte file. I could bring that in, and it's going to be all the police runs that have happened. But those numbers are crazy. The scale is so different. I'm not going to bring it in because it really makes things wonky. But you could add anything you want here. Again, the concept here isn't to bypass people. It's self-service. How can you, if you're a CFO, you got to have this data. You got to figure this out, but you don't have, your data person isn't able to help you. How do you get what you need, right, and still build some sort of line chart of some sort, or some sort of quick estimation of what right track, wrong track type of stuff, okay? So here, like, I just made I'm making a quick line chart. It's reading through everything. I'm gonna get rid of that for just 1 second. I'm gonna make my date my my axis. Bear with me for 1 second. And there you go. So for the Clifton area, it's going to read through all of my data. And there it is. It bounces all over the place, obviously, right? This is kind of sloppy. This is kind of quick. But you can see, are there any correlations? There really shouldn't be. Um, but this allows you to see if there's any correlations or any trending, between these two numbers, right? But this illustrates again how you as a customer, how you as a consumer can grab disparate data sources, put them together, and service your BI needs. This isn't going to replace some of the more formal tools that you may have in your organization, but this is going to be a super helpful tool for you to use to get what you need. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Christos, Better at BI.